Okay, so it'd be great to start with a little bit of background on Penta Infra, sort of when, why formed, and any sort of key milestones today. Yeah, great place to start.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Penta Infra was founded in 2015 by two gentlemen, basically running it as an investment company, investing in some digital assets, mainly data centers. And that was not data centers as we use today, as we used to know today as co-location, but more single tenant facilities. As said, it started in 2015, and the first investment done or acquisition made was a data center established in Geleen in the southern part of the Netherlands, with one single tenant being a systems integrator that's mainly serving financial companies. That was basically the start of Penta Infra, and then over time in 2017, the next acquisitions were made. The first one was in Leipzig, in the former eastern part of Germany, and the second one was in Cologne or Köln, as we call it, in the west side of Germany, very close to the Dutch border. And these two additions were also single tenant data centers, no co-location. It was just a real estate rental contract with a long term and a long duration. Then in 2018, the company acquired a facility in Berlin. That used to be the data center formerly owned by the Deutsche Bahn, the railways. Quite a robust data center in the east part of Berlin. And the company, Deutsche Bahn, was shrinking footprint. And we took in a new customer, being an operator as a single tenant operator for that facility as well. So that was after the one in Holland, the one in Leipzig, Cologne, acquisition number 4. And we could really speak of a kind of a portfolio of data centers. But the most recent one, of the last one in 2018 in Berlin, was quite large compared to the other ones. It was 3 megawatts, which is significant at that time for Penta as well. And then the operator was the same operator as we had the single tenant solution in Leipzig. So we had 2 facilities, basically one operator. Then over time, when the data center industry involved, and also, let's say, the progress with the operators, the idea was starting about, hey, what about changing strategy a bit, and instead of long-term rental contracts, transform into a more co-location strategy. And now somewhere after 2018, I think it was 2020, this strategy came to life, and we took, as Penta Infra, 50% back of that Berlin facility. The other 50% was left with the operator, and we started doing a kind of co-location solution. So a few carriers and 1 or 2 bigger clients. Now, we all know what's happening in the data center industry already, going on for a few years. The valuations are high and the opportunity is huge. So over time, the company decided to go into the direction of more co-location. Somewhere along the line, we took over the Düsseldorf facility that was used by and built for the purposes of a financial company. So quite robust infrastructure. Also going into the direction of co-location. And in 2020, we also took over the 2 data centers of Data Center Friesland in the northern part of Holland. And that were the real first, relative small scale, but purely co-location facilities. Now, then the direction really became clear, and Penta was about to change strategy from single tenant occupants to co-location. So that meant that we were also restructuring the company a bit. So the investment part and the co-location or data center operator had to be separated. So as per today, Penta Infra is owning and operating the data centers, and our investor is Photon Capital. That's really separated from Penta, which is a separate company, which makes that we have 2 separate companies today. Now, In 2021, we also took over a facility in Copenhagen that used to be a data center of a pan-European hosting provider. So with a lot of retail co-location. And we decided to build our first greenfield data center in Hamburg, Germany. We'll come to that later as well. But as per that time, Penta started investing in a co-location opportunity, meaning hiring a different set of people. Instead of facility managers, we had to hire site managers, sales staff like myself, but also guys and girls in the regions. And on that road, the latest acquisitions, as you probably know, is the one in Paris, the former SunGard facility, that had a big disaster recovery business, of business continuity business, with some material data centers and co-location activities. We took that over in 2022. Then we did our 2023, we took over the former KPN data center in Haarlem, in a part of the Amsterdam region in the Netherlands. And as you probably know, we recently opened our facility in Brussels, Belgium. That's a bit of the chronologics of Penta Infra. 2015, the start, single tenant data centers. And now we own and operate 12 facilities across Europe, purely as a co-location player.
Okay, and in terms of your focus, I believe it is on edge data centers. It'd be good to understand, I suppose, first up, was that always the strategy, or is it sort of a happy coincidence you realised that you had become a sort of, an acquirer of edge data centers? And also, I mean, edge means different things to different people. So how would you define the edge, or the type of edge data centers that you do have?
Yeah. Now the strategy beginning was to be a player in edge and core, meaning starting with an edge that's normally a bit outside of the main capitals like Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Paris, a bit into the region, but the region should have a kind of relative dense population and a lot of economic activities, but always be connected to some of the core markets. And with the start of the data center, let's say in Geleen, in the southern part of Holland, or the other ones in the Netherlands and Leipzig, from day one, it was really an edge proposition. But we try to be with edge locations, because the scale that we operate at is not 100 megawatt per site. So we do want to have some edge facilities in core markets where we can. And that is the reason for our acquisitions in Amsterdam, but also Paris. And over time, especially the one in Paris, may evolve in a 10, 20 megawatt facility. But today we still see it as edge, a relative, in some markets, a more dense footprint and multiple sites in one country, let's say Germany. It was Leipzig, Düsseldorf, Hamburg, Berlin, small to medium sized facilities, so not the 100 megawatt plus facilities. And we always keep an eye on the region with a healthy and growing economic activity.
Okay, and in terms of the potential, the edge, you've clearly developed your portfolio, as you say. I think you said you've got 12 data centers now. I mean, what do you see as the sort of ultimate or the further potential for edge data centers? And when, if there is a significant, which I expect there is, are there any particular industries or sort of applications that are driving it? Or is it just, as you say, because you're located in busy economic areas that you'll just inevitably, either need more facilities or grow out the existing? Just how you would characterize the future, I suppose, of the edge.
Yeah, there's a lot of different angles. And if we just start with our, let's say, insight, we have 12 facilities, and the next 5 years, this will increase to, now depending on a bit on the size and location, so let's say 30, mid-30 is of locations. So for us, from Penta Infra, we see that as quite a dense and large portfolio. However, if you use, let's say, the definition we just discussed a minute ago about dense regions with economic activity, I think many other cities, let's talk about Europe, will qualify to be at a good location for edge data centers. And at the same time, you see now more and more data centers are a bit seen as energy consumers. But as an industry, we try to present ourselves and to add value as well to the energy transition by all kind of district heating initiatives, energy reuse, grid support, water collection, etc. So that might justify a even more dense and bigger number of edge locations across Europe. And I think we're just at the beginning, but it might well be that in 10 years of time, we have in almost every street in the cities kind of data centers, edge data centers, which do not only play the role of IT facilitator, but also adding value to the energy transition.
Yeah, that's a nice sort of segue, because I was going to ask you about sustainability. So both within the organization and the way that you can potentially help customers, because as I'm sure you know, that you've got your scopes 1, 2, 3, so your whole supply chain is under sort of scrutiny. So yeah, just if you can give us any insight as to what it is you're doing as a company, and to say how you can also help your customers to sort of get them going on their own journeys.
Yeah, being active on the side of, let's say, data centers, energy, but also an investment. We all know that sustainability is a key aspect of today's and tomorrow's business. And of course, as a data center operator, when we enter into a new market, a new region, we look, okay, where's today? Where is the power availability? Where are the networks? But also, what is the opportunity for, let's say, smart energy solutions or the reuse of energy? And if you take, for instance, the Copenhagen one as an example, that's a bit outside of Copenhagen. The network availability was good. But when you come to district heating and these kind of initiatives, the Nordics as a whole are quite advanced in that respect compared to many other regions in Europe. So that made it for us quite a good opportunity. And what we did, it was a legacy facility, and we modernized everything and built new installations according to the, we call it FLAP standards in new markets, but also prepared and installed the entire district heating. And also in order to get approvals and cooperation with the municipality and the other authorities over there. And that makes that we do not only have one of the most robust and best configured data centers over there, but also the one that's really kind of adding value to the society. So that was basically the first step. We're now finalizing the entire part of the calculating energy savings. We can present it to the customers, and it's currently being validated by the authorities. But we also can to help our clients drive these as the input for the ESG reporting for our clients. And so that's really, we take over a facility, a legacy facility, and we transform it to a technical solid solution, a sustainable solution. We help our customers with the reporting and the savings, and at the same time we do things like grid support, etc. over there.
And in terms of the mix of your data center portfolio, I mean, you mentioned legacy there. There's obviously brownfield opportunities, so sort of repurposing existing maybe industrial or warehouse facilities. And then I think you mentioned you had built your first greenfield data center. And also, so when you're looking for, I suppose what I'm going to ask is, what's the process of finding a new location? Do you say, right, we need to be in this city or this region, and then you go looking for either a couple of fields where you can build a greenfield or an old industrial building that's capable? So I suppose what I'm saying is, do you prioritize one of those types for your strategy, or are you just flexible according to what the opportunity is wherever you are, or is it a greenfield first and only legacy if you have to? Hopefully that question makes some kind of sense.
Yeah, no, our strategy is always a bit flexible, but it starts basically with this. We have our headquarters in Amsterdam, and we have basically a radius around Amsterdam where we think we should do our investment. So that's basically in this stage, we have 12 facilities operational. We have 5 countries, Holland, Belgium, France, Germany, Denmark. Now, and what we typically do with the background that we have, as soon as we enter a new market, can be Benelux or something in the Nordics, France or Germany, we tend to look for a existing business or legacy, as you call it. Because then we have a kind of financial performance. We can modernize the business. We can make it to the levels that we require on sustainability, technology, etc. And as soon as we have it stabilized, then we want to densify in these markets, like we did in Germany. And when we're going to densify, then we do not only look at brownfield opportunities, but also more and more into greenfields. So what you currently see now is in Germany, we have our Düsseldorf facility, we have the Berlin and some other ones, but we're now currently building our first greenfield in Hamburg. And that's basically from scratch, entire new building. And that as soon as in a situation where you already have an existing and stable business, that's, I think the best way to scale up in a fast way with the technical standards that you are striving for. And this is currently happening as well in the Benelux. We had 3 locations in the Netherlands. We bought basically the greenfield or the brand new one in Brussels. That's already fulfilling all the kind of standards, but we probably come to that one later. And the plan is also to expand this strategy into the regions of Denmark and the Nordics and to France. And so we have an existing business, we modernize it, and then we're going to densify. And that might very well be mainly in greenfield situations.
Okay, and in terms of recent activity, you explained I think up front quite a lot of what you've been up to, but most recently I noticed you got a partnership, I think, with AdVision in Denmark. So it'd be good to understand what that involves and whether that's a sort of one-off or is that some kind of maybe a blueprint for how you want to work moving forward. So if you can just share details on that.
Yeah. So as mentioned, we took over the business in Denmark, which was used as a data center for a leading hosting company. And as many hosting companies, they do all kinds of hosting solutions, storage, security, and also some co-location. But some large part of the co-location was really, let's say, end user type of companies. But not only taking a few units of rack space, but also in combination with some firewall services or storage or other kind of managed services. And in order to allocate our resources properly and to make sure that we act in the area where we have expertise, co-location and data centers, we decided to go into an agreement with AdVision. And that's basically, we selected a certain part of the client base we took over from the hosting company. Let's say from a physical point of perspective, the smallest co-location companies that also required some managed services. We transferred them to the likes of AdVision. And they have, apart from, let's say, some co-location knowledge, they also have teams that can do and deliver a lot of managed services. So they take care of these clients. We have our focus more on a minimum size of full cabinets per client. And the cooperation also involves that, or let's say basically smaller physical appliances we direct to the likes of AdVision, but this company is also capable of doing a lot of managed service for the biggest clients, and that's where we also have some joint activities if the requirement opportunity is a good fit for that.
Yeah, and I say, is that a sort of one-off just happened, or can you see that sort of model maybe being developed in some of your other locations?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's really part of our strategy, and this company appeared to be a good fit over there, because we believe when we look at the world of today and we see the forecast and the investments and the capacities required for data center in the coming 5 to 10 years, that's really drastic increase. And we believe that that will not come, let's say, from all kinds of traditional industry that's really coming from the tech sector, AI, IoT, GPUs, whatever. And so we really believe that we have to drive our growth with the companies from hosting, IT, cloud, security providers, GPU as a service. And we believe AddVision is a good fit on that. And we have a kind of similar relationships in now, for instance, Germany, where companies that offer a wide variety of services, but as part of their solution, they also sell our co-location. That brings us to customers that we can bring into our facility that we could never do on our own, because we lack the expertise on whatever, firewalls or storage or etc.
Okay, and then one of the other things, I think fairly recently you acquired the Nexus data center in Brussels. So again, just be good to understand, I guess, a little bit of the background as to that and whether it's a particularly significant acquisition or, in inverted commas, just another data center.
Now, for us, it's a very relevant and great acquisition. In the Benelux market, it's the main market still is Amsterdam, part of FLAP. And we have some densification from Penta and some other providers throughout the country. On the southern part of Brussels, we have Paris, also one of the main markets in Europe. And for some reason, Brussels has always been a bit slow or undervalued in terms of co-location and data centers, maybe because the language is in the country and some other aspects of the region. But I think there's a lot of things that are driving Brussels as a market. We have the European Union over there. We have the constraints in energies and some other aspects, let's say in Amsterdam, but also in Frankfurt and maybe Paris in a while. Every country is getting more and more aware about the value and the relevance of having a digital industry. And Brussels is always somewhere on the crossings between, what is it, London, Frankfurt, from east to west or west to east, and Amsterdam, Paris. So it's quite a strategic location. So that was always on our radar. Now, and then this project or this development is not a kind of traditional 18 months development. It was initiated by a development company that opened a partnership with the University of Brussels. And together they founded a kind of science park that's called the Green Energy Park, which they planned to develop together. And over time you will see like science park, with all kinds of research and innovation companies and institutions. And in the middle, in the center point of that Green Energy Park, is the Nexus facility being developed. And that's a 7 megawatt data center facility that is connected to all the other companies and future companies on the Green Energy Park. So every company will have solar panels, photovoltaics, rainwater collection. That's all being brought back to the facility. The facility is a highly efficient facility, also offers grid support. And in terms of a catastrophe or outage whatsoever, the data center can power up the entire Green Energy Park. Now, and after a long period of development, Penta made a decision to take over that facility. A few minutes ago, we talked about our requirements in terms of network, in terms of power, but also in terms of district heating, reuse of energy. We strongly believe this is a perfect fit for our portfolio and a nice densification for the Benelux region. Now, we are especially we're having a lot of attention and interest in that facility. But as you probably will not be surprised about, it's also very attractive to the public sector, because the whole sustainability picture, the university is there, the hospital is there, the supercomputer will be there. We have a nice variety of connectivity over there. So that's all very positive.
Okay, and in terms of the future roadmap, I think you mentioned earlier on that you know, it's easy to imagine a time when you might have sort of 30 or so data centers. So I'm sure you're not going to tell me any trade secrets that your competitors might sort of get hold of, but just what can you share in terms of the rate of if you like expansion? What, and also, I mean, you mentioned the countries you're in. Would you look at further going further afield? Just whatever you can share as to the philosophy for the future.
Yeah, I think we have to do. We have 5 countries now. We have to do densification, so more facility in definitely in France, also in Denmark or the Nordics. I think Benelux, Holland quite well covered with Amsterdam coming online next year, and next is one, but that plot might allow for a second facility as well. And over time, you will see 2 things happening. One of them is that we will increase our radius. So think about Denmark, Sweden, Germany, Poland, Austria, and the circle may get wider also in the southern European direction. At the same time, you will see more greenfield projects coming from our side in the markets where we have a solid business already. And the third aspect is that we will be an edge provider, but also the size of typical edge locations will increase. So to take, let's say, Berlin as example, that's somewhere in the range between 0 and 3 megawatts. But we will expand our campus into the direction of 10 megawatts at least. And that's going the same for Paris, Düsseldorf, and many other locations. So I think that's what you will see. Everything will be equipped with heat reuse, grid support where applicable, to make sure that Penta, but I think we should do that as an industry as well, are really creating or bringing value to the energy transition that we all have to deal with in this society.
And just on the greenfield, I mean, do you think you might look at using the Nexus sort of model? And so when you're building a greenfield, you try and sort of encourage or attract a community around it, not just build it on its own. Clearly, you'll build it somewhere where it's needed, but I'm saying you actually attract people onto the campus itself as opposed to in the nearby city location. Whatever would that be?
Yeah, it's a bit different per location. Belgium, Brussels is part of the Benelux, but to a large part, it's also a new market for it with its own dynamics. And so we had nothing in Belgium, so we really believed it's very good to do that together with a experienced and partner with a very good reputation in the country. And it might well be that in other countries where we have a solid footprint already and we have a lot of knowledge and relationships already, that we decide to do it on our own. But in terms of if you see what we are achieved over there and are achieving, that partnership really added value in terms of time to market, which is a key part of our business, of course, because everybody only sees the facility, but the underlying aspects with the joint venture, the green energy park, the university, the hospital, supercomputer, that's a huge amount of work already being done before the, let's say, physical opening of the facility.
Okay, I mean, it's been great to chat, and thank you for sharing the insights into what's going on at the company, and a bit about the future. Just really appreciate your time, Patrick. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.